many of you have experienced anxiety at some point in your life? I know I have,
Oh,
Robin.
I have.
Like, and it comes on, you don't even know what's causing it. What if we told you that there were three simple hacks to overcoming anxiety? Would you be interested in knowing what they are? I'm Di.
And I'm Robin from DianeRobin.com, and we are so excited to be here with you today. It's just amazing how three simple little things can cause something, solve a problem for something that affects everybody. I mean, at some point in time in our lives, we've all faced anxiety. It's crazy because you don't even realize you're doing it or you
Anxiety can be a killer. It can destroy people's lives. That's how bad it can get sometimes, right?
Absolutely.
So I know one of the things for people is to identify what you're actually anxious of, or what you're fearful of, or what you're stressed over. You know, what do you think, Robin?
Oh no, I think it's true because sometimes what happens is when we go through our daily lives as adults, anytime we come across a situation where the behavior doesn't justify the cause, I mean, when you think about it, like, and I know this has happened to me. Sometimes something that just seems so simple,
yeah,
I lose my mind, and it's because I've got my heart racing or something triggers something, and it's usually triggering it from like a childhood memory or something.
A lot of times that's true. I find that a lot of times I'm going through anxiety, and I too do not know what is causing it, and I'm just like, I don't understand why I'm feeling this way. And that's the thing that you got. If you could figure out what's going on inside you all the time, boy, we'd be great. But a lot of times, as Robin said, it does come from when you're younger, or things that have traumatized you, and you might have forgotten about them in your conscious mind, but your subconscious, oh no, that's in a whole nother story.
Absolutely, because fear is like, we fear something that hasn't even happened yet.
That is true.
I mean, and that's what causes the greatest portion of our anxiety is that we're fearing the unknown, or we're fearing something that we think could happen.
A lot of times it's always over what could happen, what could go wrong. Instead of thinking of all the things that could go right, you're sitting there thinking, what if this happens? And what if that happens? And you make yourself anxious all the time, right? But I know, for example, I know I'm going to bring you back to my childhood, but for a long time when I was younger, I don't know why, when I started living on my own, it was like I had this fear and I couldn't figure out why I was fearful. I was living in a safe place. There was nothing wrong. I just had this anxiety all the time, right? I always wondered who's like, if somebody looking in my window, I'm turning off the lights and I'm shutting all the shades. And I don't know why I was doing this. And I was just like, all right, well, I started really thinking about why was I so anxious about that. And you know what? I remember, I remember this story. It's not a story. This really happened to me. And I had to be like 8 years old. And I was sleeping. And I woke up. And I happened to look over by my window. And I saw somebody looking in my window, a man. Well, at 8 years old, I thought, oh my God, that's Uncle Sam. It was Uncle Sam staring at me. Could you imagine being 8 years old and having this stare at you through a window? Well, I went running to my parents' bedroom. I was screaming that Uncle Sam is staring in the window. So, of course, they think that I'm dreaming, I've lost my mind, or something. But that traumatized me so much that when I grew up, I forgot all about that. Of course, you do. You just get past things, But when I went to live on my own, somehow deep inside my brain, Uncle Sam was still lurking in there, and it made me anxious about people looking in my window, and I didn't even realize it. And so I was anxious, right?
Well, now you just get anxious around April 15th every year, right?
Yes, when tax time comes, yes, I see Uncle Sam staring at me through a window. But in all honesty, once I realized what was causing my anxiety, it was like, well, that's stupid, and it went away like that because I identified what it was that was making me anxious, and I knew I was safe, and it was just this childhood memory that was lurking in my head.
And it's amazing how that happens more often than not that we don't even realize it. We start to get anxious and we just, it's like an adrenaline thing that just keeps us in fear.
That is
And as
very
soon
true.
as you identify, that's the first hack. The number one thing that you need to
Identify
do
it.
is identify what's causing that anxiety.
What could have created it in the
Exactly.
first place? So dig deep.
Dig deep.
Oh, Kanisha's on. Hi, Kanisha.
Hi,
How are you?
Kanisha. So, that's the number one thing you want to do in order to hack through this anxiety is just identify what's causing it, what might be causing it. And if the behavior doesn't justify the means, typically that means it's coming from somewhere way back,
Mhm.
and it's, remember that those things that are coming from way back are coming from a child's perspective.
That is very true.
And it's not necessarily the control you have as an adult. So if you write it down, and you make sure that you've identified that, then that's going to be your first hack to get rid of this anxiety.
I'm curious. When you're young, you do look at things through young eyes. Like I always went sledding. I lived up north when I was young, and we went sledding on this huge hill, right? And we'd go down that hill every single day, and we had so much fun. I went back as an adult. Speaking of looking at things through a child's mind, as an adult, I went back to that same place, right? And I'm looking for this big, huge hill. It was just this little slope, like.
Well, it's kind of like kiddie dinners, when you're a kid, they're filling and you think they're big. You go back as an adult. I hadn't had one for years. I went back as an adult and found out that
they're not
they're not as big as they. Good morning, Jamie Lynn. It's good to
Hi,
see you.
Jamie. Wow, it's good to see you.
So the number two thing that you have to do in order to break through this anxiety that you may have is you want to think about all of the things in that moment that are going right for your life.
Correct.
All of the things that are good, and you want to write them down. Like whether it be your kids, whether it be your relationship, the passion in your relationship, whatever it might be, your job, whatever it is that makes you happy, you want to sit and write that down because something happens when it goes from here to paper. It registers as though it's real when it goes from your head to your paper.
Yeah, you don't want to sit around thinking of everything that could go wrong. Like, say you got a new job or a new relationship, right? And you're sitting there going, oh, but what if she turns out to be horrible? What if he turns out to be, like a serial killer? You can't just keep thinking, what if? You have to let things,
You should stop watching the ID channel.
I think I do. But at the same point, if you think of everything that could go wrong with the new job, you're not going to take that job. You'll find a reason to get up the morning you're supposed to start and not go, right? Because you're talking yourself out of it. So what Robin was saying is write down everything good in your life. I mean, you woke up this morning. You're breathing this morning. Those are good things. Those are positive things, As long as you're vertical, you're having a good day.
Well, I know, and I'm going to tell you, here's just a little story. I'll give you a quick story about myself. But, when I first found out, I woke up one morning and found out that I couldn't really walk, and I had no reason, no knowledge of why that was happening. I just couldn't feel my legs. And, so later come to find out, long story short, that I had to have emergency neck surgery. But I can remember, we would go somewhere and I would say, I'm going to pull up to the front door and I'll let you out. And I said, no, I'm going to walk. Because as long as I can walk, I'm going to walk. That was a blessing to me at that time. And you don't really realize how many blessings you have until something like that happens. But if you really sit down and think and you write it down, You know, you write down what's good in your life.
Correct.
It's really hard to feel bad when you're writing all the things that are good. Seriously, it really is. You can't really be sad as you're writing, you know, when you start writing down all the good things and thinking of the gratitude that you have. So that's number 2. Number 1, identify what's causing your anxiety. Number 2, write down the things that are positive. Make sure that you list a few things that are just happy, manifesting, you know, happiness in your life. And then number 3.
I like this one.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, no.
No, you do it. You do it. Go ahead.
All right. Number 3 is think a year from now, right? Think about your very best life 1 year from now. What would that look like to you? Like, what would be your ideal outcome in 1 year? Like, I thought about it, you know, like people should, you know, instead of thinking of all the things that could go wrong in a year and you never do anything, write down on a piece of paper, what is your life looking like? And it's 1 year from now. Write everything down that is good, that is happening for you. And write it down like it's a year from now. Seriously.
Right, exactly. I mean, I know when we first started getting in our online business, the very first thing that we did was sit down and cut ourselves a check.
That is true.
And I know that sounds really crazy. It sometimes can be scary and have a lot of anxiety. But the first thing we did was sit down and write ourselves a check from 2 years from now, where we wanted to be. And we put it up on the wall and we looked at it every day. And that's what, you know, we focused on.
And it's happening because, you know, when you focus on where you want to be in 1 year and you say every day, well, it's one step closer to that. And you find yourself just doing everything every day that will get you to that point, your goal. So I'm telling you all, it is the simplest thing to do, and it keeps you focused on what you're doing. You know, you won't get distracted. You just think every single day, I'm getting closer to that year, right? And that's how I did it.
Yeah. So when you're going through anxiety and it comes upon you, make sure you identify where it's coming from. Write down all the good things in your life currently, presently, all the good things that are happening so your mind is focused on those things. And picture yourself with the best outcome possible a year from now. And that's how you're going to solve that anxiety on the spot. So there's our 3 simple hacks to get rid of anxiety.
That is very true.
So for now, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to go on YouTube, click the subscribe button for Diane Robin. Make sure you like it. Make sure you hit the bell so that you can get notified when we go live like this and provide you with the simple hacks that
You know,
can
it's
make your life
funny.
better.
A lot of people don't know about that bell. There's a little bell-shaped thing, and it lets you know when we're going live. So
Okay.
it's a notification bell.
So if you've gotten value out of this, make sure you hit that like button. Share it if you think it can help somebody else because we're here to serve.
That's true. All right, well, it was great hopping in on you guys. Thanks for coming by. We love it. And I'm Di.
And I'm Robin, and until next time, embrace the life you desire.
We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.